I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
Commissioner Gay.
Here.
Commissioner Sapsy.
Here.
Commissioner Bunting.
Here.
Commissioner Owens is absent.
Okay. And Commissioner Bailey.
Bow your heads, please. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the day that you've given to us, and we just always want to remember our service men and women overseas and at home, our first responders, Father, that always help take care of us. We ask tonight, Father, that you'd be a special blessing upon our President Trump as he narrowly missed fate with a sniper, and we just praise you and thank you for putting your guiding hand upon him. We ask, Father, you continue prayers for the farmers as they have done their wheat and are in their wheat now, and then on to other crops later on. And we just pray that the weather will remain calm and fruitful so that they may have a good harvest. We ask all these things in your son's precious name. Amen.
Amen. Please stand. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there any? Just let me look at this. Okay, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, if we can add J2, the correctional sergeant's proposal. And that is uploaded as an extra, an inboard book that you can see the PowerPoint, but Chris will have that up when we get to that.
Okay,
And then if we can remove then what would be J6, which is the sheriff budget for the fiscal year 2025. If we can remove that from the agenda.
you want to remove it?
Yes,
Okay,
There's no six.
it's J5, but if we add J2, it would fit down.
okay. Okay, then,
I would move the agenda as presented. Support.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Okay, we have brief comment. Do we have anyone here that would like to speak? Okay. Now we go down to the administrator's report.
Okay. Update on personnel for the last couple of weeks. We have hired an animal control officer who has come in and gone through training in administration and is out working in the public right now. We have hired a bailiff court security officer, which will be part-time. We're currently recruiting 3 positions actively, an OCC case manager. We're always looking for road patrol officers, and we have a nutrition coordinator at COA, Commission on Aging, that is open right now. All of those are available on the website and can be applied for. Their job descriptions are posted under the employment section. Recent events around the courthouse. Our county delegation is currently traveling back from Germany as we speak. I believe that they are in the air right now. Our next meeting, we look forward to having a presentation, hopefully from both Commissioner Owens and Sheila Barnaby. I know that Sheila's been sending me a lot of photographs. The pictures of the food has been particularly interesting to me because it looks really good. Last night we held an airport advisory meeting out at the airport and to approve the structural concepts for the terminal study. We met out there with both John Van Drunen of our engineering firm and David Marr from Spicer. So David is going to be drawing up the specs and John is going to be making sure that it is compatible with the grant that we're going to be applying for. The meeting was very successful. We had probably a total of 25 to 30 people in attendance. And we were able to come to an agreement on what we would like to see in under 2 hours. So anytime you have a conversation with 30 people and it lasts less than 2 hours, it's definitely a success.
Nice.
So we've been in contact, throughout. We expect to be able to submit this grant proposal by the end of the month to beat the deadline. Tomorrow night is the sheriff candidate Q&A from 7 to 9 at the RESD. That is open to the public. I believe the questions are controlled, so it's not going to be a public Q&A, but the public is invited to attend to see who the candidates on the ballot will be. Thursday.
Excuse me, also, isn't that for commissioners too?
We were
Okay.
all invited,
Yeah.
but I've got one of my appointment meetings that night, and then I've got another commitment down in Mason that I'm supposed to be at.
I apologize for that. I only saw it advertised for the sheriff, but it would be.
Oh, it would be all-
I think it's all elected.
It was both.
Okay.
Uh,
And I'm going tomorrow.
Are you gonna?
No one's running against you though.
I say, I have,
Oh, yeah, she has.
She had one in the
Yeah,
general.
oh, no,
Yeah.
you guys don't. Just Steve and I were the only two.
Yeah. I wouldn't
But I had,
Not going to.
no, I also have to leave by 8:30. I've got to be
be
down.
there, but
I've got another commitment in Mason tomorrow. At
Very good.
7 o'clock, but
Well, we can do this all over again tomorrow night. It'll be great. Thursday, 4:30 to 7 is the Rural Urban Day celebration at the fairgrounds in Alma. So everybody come out, celebrate with your local farmers. Stay for the awards and don't forget to pick up your meal ticket, which is $15 ahead of time. $20 at the door, the best steak of the year.
they sell them at Commercial Bank.
Yeah, I think that's the Ithaca location, right? The only place in Ithaca that has them.
Yeah, mine there the other.
This Friday, we will be holding an opioid meeting at Child Advocacy to discuss what we can do to carry on our conversations from last year when we were talking about what services we can provide to our community with the opioid settlement funds that we have been receiving from these pharmaceuticals and from these distributors. Several people in this room will be in attendance, but we will be having all the stakeholders in the county that we could think to invite, including My Michigan, GIN, the Health Department, Child Advocacy, and others that I apologize if I forgot. The goal of this meeting is to refine our ideas down to pencil and paper for an actual plan that we would next bring to this commission. So we do have some ideas on what we would like to do. And what we want to do is finalize them. So we'll be hearing about that as soon as next meeting. We'll be unavailable between Saturday the 20th and Wednesday the 24th. Be traveling out of the state. I do not plan on carrying my county phone with me, but there are lots of people that have my personal phone number that you can get a hold of that are in this building that can get a hold of me should you need to get a hold of me. So going, projects. We get to finally see the results of the LED light project tonight. That's gotten a lot of attention from our new project supervisor, and it will in the future as it goes on. Also, our new project supervisor is focusing on the yard to make sure that it is properly cleaned up and it will be ready for any improvements for next spring. Our next project that we'll be focusing on is our window replacement project. Most likely, the last project that's in our capital projects list is the sunken wall in the Register of Deeds office. We're hoping to get that project out to bid yet this fiscal year, but it probably won't be worked on until next fiscal year. Lastly, Woodhill Group, who we contracted with for some financial services, will be wrapping up our chart of account conversion. I expect at any moment. I thought I would receive something today, but possibly tomorrow. The next step, it would go to BSNA, and then it would be implemented. That concludes my administrator's report.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have
I
any?
apologize. One more quick thing I did want to say.
Yes.
The MAC conference for commissioners this year this fall is September 24th through 26th. It is at Grand Traverse, I forget the Grand Traverse Hotel.
Resort.
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 You know, if any commissioners are interested in going and learning and just, you know, spending time with other commissioners, this is a great place to go. So if that's something that interests you, please contact me and we can make arrangements.
I think that's a really good class. I've attended those before. And it's gives you an update and a refreshment course. So any other questions, anyone? Okay, we'll continue on.
Can we back up and approve the minutes and accept the communications?
Consent calendar. You forgot the consent calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But
I was in a hurry to hear the administrators might work.
as long as we take care of it, we're good.
Can I have a motion to accept the, a consent calendar and the board minutes communication?
So move that we approve the consent agenda and approve the minutes from our July 2nd, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Shopsy and second by Commissioner Gay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion has passed. Okay, now we'll go to Commissioner Bailey.
Okay, on the eighth, I at Hamilton Township, North Star, Hamilton Township. They have their site work done for their new township hall. And that was exciting, and I haven't heard of any other movement on that, but they've got a nice pad laid out in the back of their current hall, and they'll start from there. So there's some things being done out there, and that's a wonderful thing. Talked in depth about the election. The township halls that haven't had an election box put in, an outdoor box, that they've had to have them by this election, and the ones that didn't have it in my district are all put in, and they have cameras on them, and they're all set to go. Another added expense by the government. So just to put it in there. And then North Star, they are, they passed their blight ordinance. And so, and so that goes to the new upgrade to our blight ordinance, so that'll be forthcoming. On Tuesday, I went to Lafayette Hall and to Township Hall and to Wheeler. Lafayette, they're just rolling along. They're trying to figure out what they want to do with their ARPA money, and they're just they've got some things going on, and I just urge them to hurry up because we need to know what you're going to be spending your money on. And so we don't want it, and I urge all of my people, we don't want your money back. Please spend it in some way. So that's going good. And North Star, like I said, North Star, or not North Star, Wheeler passed the blight ordinance also. Lafayette didn't pass the blight ordinance because they hadn't received it yet. They now have had received it. They'll pass it the next meeting. So that's basically what I got.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gay.
When does early voting start?
9 days
The
before.
27th of July, Saturday,
Which is Saturday, right?
yes.
Same day
Correct.
the fair starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, July 9th, I met with the oh no, okay, let's back up to July 10th, I was at the Arcata Township meeting. Doug Merchant, the chair, was absent, so Dave Ringel was the chair. Fire Island wants a digital sign. I guess one of those big signs. and they have to, I guess, run it by them. They talked about blight and blight ordinances. They talked about Pine River, the flow can increase and decrease the sediment if there's a bunch of downed trees removed.
We're talking about the Pine River.
Yeah, Pine River.
I thought you were talking
What
about
I-
township.
Oh, Pine River Township.
No.
No,
You
the
got it.
Arcata, the Pine River does.
Yeah, it goes through there, yes.
Um, okay, July 9th, I was at the Gratiot County Mental Health. I met Michelle Stillwagon, the leader. And I was given a brief in-service. They serve over 1,000 residents of Gratiot County. I worked, well, I guess it's been a long time ago now. I worked in adult foster homes for McBride, which is in Isabella and Mount Calm counties. So I knew a little bit about that. I guess there's 7 adult foster homes in Gratiot County. And so they serve a wide variety of people with different needs. July 11th, I attended the board meeting with Irene O'Boyle as the chair. There's 12 members. I was introduced to a lot of people. And I'm looking forward to learning more.
Good, thank you for your report. Okay, Commissioner Shopsy?
On the 8th was a busy day. I had Pine River Watershed meeting that morning up at the extension office in Alma. Fairly small group at this one, discussing different ways that we can look at trying to clean up the Pine River watershed. They're doing a lot of testing right in the very headwaters of it. Obviously, the water that's coming into Gratiot County is not clean. The water that's leaving Gratiot County is also not clean. So big things that they're focusing on are, agricultural runoff and E. coli from human, the whole situation that we had in Riverdale and Elwell several years ago. There's obviously other areas of concern. Some of that concern is above our county, so it's not, that's nothing that we are working on, but this whole Pine River watershed is working on the whole watershed, not just Gratiot counties, but we meet as a Gratiot County unit. And there's different things were discussed on as far as like ag runoff, if there's some programs that the Adine from the NRCS office can get maybe some funding to help with some filter strips along, a little better financial support to get some filter strips along the rivers and the creeks and tributaries. After that evening, I had 3 meetings that started at 7. Thank God they were fairly close. So I went to Perrington first. They're getting ready for the car show. Still working on the water main. They've got a deadline. They've all got to make sure they were given a certain number of water lines that they have to confirm whether there's lead pipes, and they're working on getting all that taken care of. They're putting their new water meters in. Left Perrington, went to New Haven. New Haven passed the light updates. They're hoping that this will give it maybe a little bit more teeth because they've got some problematic spots in that township that they really want to get cleaned up. And they're hoping that with these new wording and verbiage and changes that will be able to happen. Because like most of the townships, you get 2 a year, but they got a list that would last for a few years if they could get them to start working and getting these things cleaned up. From there, I left and went to Newark, and they were getting to the end of their meeting by the time I got there. You just gave them some updates. getting ready for some changes because they've got some board members that are not running again, so they're gonna have some changes in that township. So there was a little bit of discussion about that. That's one of those township halls, if you haven't been by it, they spent their ARPA money and it's really nice. I mean, it looks really sharp inside, it's been refreshened up and it really looks very nice. So, the 9th, I started out in Ashley at the Ashley Planning Committee. They actually, due to a phone number change that I tried to send it to Tony on, his work phone, a text message. So I sent a message to Tony Miller, reference permitting, as well as Mark Kraft, reference stuff with the road commission. They are looking at what it's gonna take for them to put a sidewalk, extend a sidewalk from the city from the city, excuse me, all the way out the east side of Arnold Road to the Dollar General. There's businesses they've got, I believe, a truck stop that's planning on breaking ground out there in spring of 25. So there's a lot of work that has to happen out there. That it's gonna take work not only from the village, but MDOT's gonna have to do some stuff similar if you've been near where Fulton Corners gas station is, where they widen 57, all that stuff's gonna have to take place in order for this thing to work out the way they have it envisioned. Then I walked across the street to the Elba Township meeting. Elba also passed the blight. Elba has a signed purchase agreement now to purchase another property to be their township hall. It all is binding on like the Superfund. It's an old gas station site. It's where the Follett's gas station and laundromat was as you go into town on Arnold Road. Sits on the east side of the road. There used to be a car wash there that's all been torn down. It's that whole piece of property there, which will provide plenty of parking. It's a nice size, big building there. It'll afford them to actually have more than one office that's centrally located around their bathroom. Easily made handicap accessible. They're pretty excited about that and
Take the gas tanks out.
yes, that's all and there's funds available through the brownfield to get the testing done to see if there's been any leaking and to assist in getting those out of there because the township doesn't want the liability of having old tanks in the ground and stuff like that. So that's all, the whole purchase agreement was surrounded around that it passes all these environmental tests and the tanks are removed and all that. So exciting things going on there. They finished up the deal with the gentleman. They're purchasing more property to square up the cemetery. Officially by law, you can't live on a cemetery. So the gentleman that's selling them the land is building a new home. That home is not completed. So it technically hasn't become the township's yet, but it's done. It's just a matter of legalities to, once he moves out of that house into his new home, then the township can officially call that part of their cemetery. They have access to use the pole barn and stuff there for storing lawn equipment and things, which will be really nice for them because there's never been a storage building like a lot of cemeteries have for lawn equipment and that sort of thing. So that'll be nice for them. Last night, North Shade Township, Jan was there, Angie was there, had their grand reopening of their new added on Township Hall. If you've ever been to the North Shade Township Hall, the North Shade Township Hall was the only township hall in Gratiot County that did not have running water or indoor plumbing. That has all been, they used their ARPA funds. They redid the old part of the hall. It's beautiful in there. They kept it for the nostalgia. It's all handicap accessible now. That's where they do all their voting. So they were able to keep their old voting booths plus the handicap accessible voting booths. I'll be honest with you, I've been in the new part several times as they're building it. So I kind of knew as they were going along what it looked like, but I had not been in the old part after they painted it and redid the floors. And I think that's more, to me, it was more stunning and breathtaking to see what they'd done with these two old buildings that had been added together. Because old township hall is the part, section that runs east and west. And the north and south section is actually the old North Shade School that sat across the road that was moved over there when they consolidated all the country schools to, it was really impressive. I mean, these,
History to it, wasn't it?
oh, a lot of history and it's beautiful. And then they have big, beautiful bathrooms and a nice kitchenette area and there's a nice office area and there's a big area for storing, documents and things. It's really nice. If you get a chance, go out there because there's something to be proud of. And I was shocked by the time I left, how many people had been in and through there. There was a lot of the residents that were coming in and going through there. So it was really impressive.
It's too bad you didn't have people signing in.
Yeah, because it would have been interesting how many actually walked through there, but they had 20 different kinds of cookies and snack bar things and water and lemonade. What's that?
You left before us and there were still people coming.
Oh, yeah.
The whole parking lot was full.
Yeah, because I had another appointment I had to get to in Williamson last night and my wife and I, the whole way home, were like, it was really impressive how many people were coming through there.
Yeah,
It's really something to see, especially when you know what the old one is.
yeah.
If Hamilton's and Washington that are still working on big projects with their township halls, I mean, it's really something. It was very impressive. I was blown away at how neat it all tied together once it was done. It was really, really cool. So new flagpoles, lights on them. I mean, they really, like somebody said, you guys really stepped up your game from what the old North Shade Township Hall was. So that was a cool moment to be there for that. That's it.
Okay, I'll go ahead and tell
How
you.
many townships do you represent?
6.
Do they all meet at the same week?
Usually I only have 2 that are at the same time on the same day. That is Newark and New Haven. They're always at the same day and they're always at the same time. The beauty is they're 6 miles apart on the same road. So you just got to pick which one you go to first and then, but because of the holiday week, Barrington had moved their meeting from the first Monday to the second Monday. So that's why I had 3 all at one time. So that hopefully is something maybe only happens once or twice a year or something, but yeah, that made it. You don't have much time to talk or answer any questions. You basically just come in and say, hi. Give them a little blurb of what's going on countywide and you're out.
Okay, I'll tell you what I've been doing. I went after the last meeting, I stopped into St. Louis meeting. We were done early enough and theirs starts at 6. So I was able to attend the whole meeting there. And that's kind of hard to make that one. That's the meeting in St. Louis. And then that was on the 2nd. On the 9th, I went to Bethany Township. That's at 7 o'clock in the evening. That was a fast meeting. Farmers are kind of now, it's getting a real busy time of the year. Well attended. I think that was, they were swearing in. There was 3 different groups swearing in for the planning commission that represents Bethany Township. And then on the 10th, I went to the Chamber of Commerce in St. Louis for their meeting, and they talked about the festival that was happening this last Saturday, which was well attended. Fireworks, they had singers from the churches that sung over at the park. That was nice because I live right across from the park and I could just listen to the music. So it was really nice for me. I could still do some work. And then on the 15th, which was yesterday, I went to North Shade. And as you've heard Commissioner Shopsy talk about it, it was very, very impressive to go to theirs. It just had a nice feel about it.
Mhm.
And I really was impressed how they kept part of the old, just redid it over
Mhm.
and it goes back in time. So there's quite a history there. I think that's important. Okay, and I would like to ask our clerk to give us a little bit of a rundown of what she's been doing. The election is coming up and I know she's getting ready for it. Would you like to give us a little report?
Sure. So tomorrow night, I am training at Pine River. And then Thursday night, I'll be training at New Haven. Saturday, I'll be training at Arcata. So I've got lots of trainings for election inspectors coming up. And then Friday, if anybody is interested at 9 o'clock, I am doing our public testing for the tabulators at the Commission on Aging. So you'll be able to see the 4 tabulators that hold all of our county so that you can see how those ballots run through and see how they count.
That's at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, on Friday. And then I want everybody to remember on August 5th is going to be our next meeting at 4:30 instead of the 6th, which is election day. So it will be the night before the election for our next meeting.
It's on Monday.
Yes.
Yep.
Also, I have to let you know that I am going on a short trip. I have a very dear friend that I've known for years. Her and her family and her husband and children, and she is very ill, not expected to live. So I'm leaving a week from Sunday for Florida for just a few days. I'll come back on the Saturday before our next meeting. And hopefully she's still with us by the time I get there. So other than that, let's move on to our new business. And so our first thing here is the late replacement for Tony Miller.
Evening.
Evening.
So I actually did a footing inspection on Hamilton Township Hall and I did a final approval for that new house.
Yep.
The people that own the one down in
Ashley?
yeah, that one.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's awesome.
we did a little different approach on the lighting because we're gonna be able to eliminate quite a few fixtures when we start swapping these to LEDs. Like Chris's office, he's got 4 fixtures in there. We're gonna fry them right out of his office if we replace all 4. So we're gonna reduce the number of bulbs, we're gonna reduce the number of lights, and we're gonna reduce a lot of money that we're spending on energy here. But our approach was to go a per fixture bid. Cause we've already got it in the capital improvement plan, we've got money set aside. So really,
$100,000
yeah,
this year.
yep,
Multi-year project was our intention.
yep. So I wanna focus on the 4 footers in the cans originally. But after looking at the numbers, you know, I love hiring local, but state electric would be my recommendation. Per fixture, I did some research on them. They're a 30-year family-owned operation out of Holly. Very reputable. They do a lot of electric vehicle charging stations and solar. I mean, they do some big projects, but they do a lot of energy saving projects. Along with this, we'll get a rebate from consumers too. Once it's all said and done, we get big incentive from that.
Nice.
So we're gonna be saving money on a lot of different things.
Actually, I was gonna ask you if this would qualify you for one of the incentive things. I mean,
Yep.
you're talking just a little bit, you and I talked. This is gonna be a significant amount of electric savings.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
Not only in just things like in Chris's office where you're going from 4 down, but just every one of these lights. I mean,
Yeah,
it's amazing how much,
not to mention, you know,
which adds up to kilowatts. I mean, there'll be a noticeable difference in
Yeah.
the electric consumption of this building.
not to mention every time I turn around, one of my grounds guys carrying a ladder and a couple bulbs around, you know. The lifetime of an LED compared to a fluorescent is like 10 times longer. So it's gonna be huge. I'm looking forward to, but really all I need you guys to do is basically give me the green light to go with state electric, or if you got somebody else in mind you wanna discuss, we can do that.
Just a question, how many, this is not to do them all, I'm sure, so how many phases of this operation do you plan on going through?
Probably about 3.
Yes, it's just the first phase.
Yeah, I wanted to focus on district court because scheduling is tough. And the higher ceilings, and it's a common area where people from the public are coming in, and then start looking at the offices and go through them.
This particular phase, we're not prepared to go through all the hoops that are required for the historic side of the courthouse. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
But this contract could extend to other buildings that are not historic if the entire non-historic part of the courthouse is swapped out.
Right, right.
We could look at COA, we could look at the jail, we could look at,
The jail would be huge. Yeah, the guys are over there all the time. Yeah, and those are a little more work because of the, you know, they're a security
Our goal is to eat up as much as you guys appropriated for us that we can with this contract.
So,
Now, the kickbacks that come, is that after completion?
yeah.
Okay, so we have to finish all the phases, so you gotta get all of them done before you.
Well, no, you can do it, you can phase the rebates.
Oh, you can.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
This is phase one.
sorry.
You know, the nice thing about that is if you come into a situation where, let's say when we get to this historic part, it's gonna cost a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because there's always that possibility, if some of those kickbacks have already arrived, that money can help offset that, so we can continue this project and get it finished.
No, every time,
Basically staying within the money we authorized.
I've done it before, we did it with the rooftop units, we did it with the chiller, and once the project was done, we sent in the paperwork to consumers, and
They said it.
it's pretty simple, really.
I just wondered if they'd let you do it in phases like that, so.
Yeah, the actual bulbs, you get an instant rebate right at the counter if you buy the LED bulbs. The Medlars,
That's awesome.
those guys have been hounding us every time we walk in there, they're like, do you know it's 2024 and they make LED lights? We're like, yeah, we're working on it, we're working on it. But yeah, are there any other questions?
I'd go ahead and make a motion that we would go with State Electric Company.
Okay, Commission, motion was made by Bailey and second by Shopsy. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. The motion passed.
I'll get to work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay, the next one would be on the Gratiot County Sheriff's Office.
This was supposed to be about a window in the jail administrator's office, but we'll switch to this instead. Do I have any control over this, or is it just you, Chris?
I'm sorry, no, I did not load it into
I never
my proper computer, so
have any.
you have to let me know when to.
So with support and permission, Sheriff Morris, I'm really just here to talk to you about adding sergeants to the jail. So the next, I'll just give an outline of how we're just gonna go over this, and I'm not gonna be here speaking for an hour. Talk to you currently what we have for sergeants, currently what our command staff looks like in the jail, why we need it, how we're gonna reduce, how that reduces risk and liability for the jail and for the county as a whole. Really what it's gonna take, and when we can actually start this whole thing if you guys approve it. So currently in the jail, obviously there's the sheriff, the undersheriff. And then, but within the jail itself, there's the jail administrator lieutenant, which is myself. And then we have two sergeants. And those two sergeants work obviously day shift. I'm not obviously, but they're on the day shifts and they're obviously not on the same shift. So so they cover the officers that are there during the day. They kind of work with the night officers, but they're not there hands-on through the night. So that's the current command staff in the jail. If you want to go to the next one. So I did a couple things I just want to read to you, and I really want you to kind of stick this in your mind. First line and mid-level supervisors is basically what we're talking about, are decision makers, but not necessarily policy makers like administrators, like the sheriff. It's really vital because they are there when the administration is not there. They're the eyes and the ears. They know what's going on. They see it when I'm sleeping at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're wanting some sort of supervision within the physical plant, the jail, the officers, and supervision within the actual inmates itself. Primarily responsibility for staff and supervision to prevent complacency with all policies, laws, and requirements. And that's a big thing because that's an accountability thing. The sheriff holds his administration accountable, and supervisors accountable. That's why they have rank. That's why they have responsibilities, because they get to hold some liability and accountability. I wanted to show you these two pictures because these are very dynamic pictures that happen in jail. These are two photos that are use of force photos, not in Gratiot County, but they're in jails. The problem, not really the problem, but the situation with those is those happen like that. And they happen fast, and things can go very wrong, and that obviously can get counties into trouble. And that's where you see these big counties on the news because they're sued because an inmate is crushed, or he's got a broken leg, or he can't breathe, or whatever situation it might be. You have to have direct supervision now when those situations happen. And I can't tell you when those situations happen. Right now, it could be quiet and in 5 minutes we get an arrest and we have somebody that's unruly kicking doors and that's trying to harm officers. And that's just a daily occurrence in the jail. Not hourly, but it's just a dynamic situation. When those situations happen, you're fine, you can leave right where you're at. When those situations happen, yes, they call administration, they call their bosses. But you have to be able to direct the boat left or right. So you don't collide into another boat. And that's what a supervisor does while on shift. And currently we don't have that at night. So, and really at night, that's when you get your drunks in. That's when you get your people who are unruly. They don't realize what they're doing. And things change a little bit. And in the jail aspect of it during the night, the jail is live. The inmates are live. They're watching football in the winter. They're moving around. They're sleeping in the morning. So at night, there's a lot of physical things that are going on. So, going on to why we need sergeants is because of just that. So sergeants are going to be trained. We hold them accountable. Sergeants are really good for their shifts because they boost morale. They're a team. And if you've ever been a team, it works when you have a team. He or she knows what their officers are like, and they just build that morale. And what's great about having sergeants is opportunities for the sheriff's office. People that are starting in their career, they're 5-6 years in, they're like, I want to be a sergeant someday. I want to work my way up to that. So I want to get myself trained. And those are opportunities that puts a bright light and a good thing on for Gratiot County. So we don't lose individuals going to other counties where, well, you know what, I can't be a sergeant here because they don't exist. I want to go somewhere else. So it's just an overall positive thing when it comes to that. And honestly, I put on there, it's a modern way to run a jail command structure, but if you go to the next slide, well, I'm sorry, it'll be in a second. A lot of jails have been doing it for a lot of years. I mean, the 4 command structures, a sergeant per shift, it's just been going on for a long time. Another thing I want to really read to you and really listen to this. This comes from MMRMA. This is, you all know our risk insurance. The best argument for supervision should be including liability, employee efficiency, and accountability. Obviously, we know how liability works with county. Efficiency is I want the officers to get the best work out of them, and I want them obviously to not spend all day doing it. So, and I talk again about accountability. Specifically making sure the physical plan is working properly and well maintained. They are there making sure when the administration is not there. Employee effectiveness depends on oversight, close oversight of medical issues, on-site decision-making, delegating responsibility to staff for daily activities that require close monitoring by supervision. I'll tell you about delegating. If you got 3 new officers that really aren't as experienced as they should be, well, I don't know if I should do that, or I don't know if I should do that. There's really no one that kind of directs the ship. And that's what that supervisor does at night. So you can go to the next page. I did a comparison of jails that are about our size, and there are a lot more than this, but you can go through the list and you've got Menominee, Emmett, Sheboygan, 51. We're a 72 bed facility. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we're at. All of those facilities right there are either smaller, or they're bigger than us, or they're about the same size of us. They have 4 sergeants, or they have more than 4 sergeants. They'll have an assistant jail administrator, or they'll have administrative sergeants, because it just reduces the liability and reduces the risk for the county. So next, please.
The amount of beds don't really correlate to the population, or?
Well, no, it doesn't. Like you could see, let's say, for example, Menominee 51 bed, they might have 84 inmates in that jail. Because for whatever reason, they got an influx of inmates and they can't get rid of them. We were over here about a month and a half ago. We were almost 80 inmates, which isn't a significant amount over a bed count. But a lot of those individuals were in the holding cells, and they were medical issues or withdrawal issues, or they were freshly arrested and they haven't been arraigned by the courts yet. So it happens. A lot of those places are overfilled with inmates. So currently we've done all the testing. We've interviewed for sergeants. And yeah, I was maybe a little bit premature, but we've done all the testing. we have the candidates. We followed all the contracts. We're good with the union. We just need the approval for you guys to basically say yes. We're not adding any more officers. We're just basically adjusting rank. Yes, there's a cost to that. There's a pay raise, and that's in the structure. You can go to the next page. This is a very basic, there's gonna be more money to this because you have to train them, you have to send them to training, things like that. It costs money to sew stripes on a shirt. I mean, things like that, but the max pay for a corrections officer right now, and the two candidates are really close to that. I think one might even be at 2613. Their pay increase would go to 2745, and that's currently as it is right now before the percentage increase throughout the next fiscal year. So you can really see it. It's not a significant cost. And I will say, if you have a $26 million lawsuit, that's a significant cost increase when it comes to when inmate, we're getting real close to some really bad stuff that happens out there, that people bring drugs and things and they're half dying because they're alcohol withdrawals. And I don't want to get there. And so I really want to prevent liability. I want to prevent this risk, and this is a good way to do it. So October 1st is basically, if you approve it, we can start it, because that's when the new shift pick start. And they'll be bidding in August for which shifts they want. And something that we started a couple years ago when Sergeant Matthews came in, I approached Sheriff Morris, he approved it. And we had a nice little pinning ceremony out in front of the county building, and we brought their family members, and he brought his daughter, and it was a nice ceremony. Well, we obviously did it with the new undersheriff and the new lieutenant. And it's just something that's just fresh, and it's nice for the county. And so we'll do that for you, and obviously contact the media. It's just a good thing for the county overall. So that's really what I have. I'll take any questions you have, but I think it's
So you want a sergeant at night, one sergeant?
one sergeant each shift at night. I have 2 vacancies.
You have 8-hour shifts,
12-hour
12 hours.
shifts. Yeah. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
We got it.
Basically, this will give you 24-hour coverage, is what you'll have a supervisor on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 360. Short of vacations and stuff like that, which is
Correct.
But you have 7 days a week. How do you do the other, if they're doing 40 hours a week or?
So they're working 84 hours.
84 hours is what they were.
So Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then they'll go.
Opposite team
Yep.
works the opposite
Yep.
days.
And then they'll switch every other week.
And let me just explain the difference between a day sergeant and a night sergeant. So a day sergeant is obviously Joe's there, but we have day sergeants, but they are dealing with inmates that are up and about every day. They're doing the screening processes. They are doing the what's the word I'm looking for, Joe? What's that? Classification of the inmates and stuff like that. That's what our day sergeants do. Would it be easy to move them to nights? Yeah, but then you have a vacancy on day sergeant, especially Saturday and Sundays when we're not there, and for all these other tasks that they have to perform during the week.
This is a marvelous thing, Mike. When you and I came in, they didn't have any sergeants in the jail law. The liability is not going away. This is the $2,800, the cheapest liability insurance you can buy. Per person, because the jail is this county, all the money you have in your budget, Chris, that jail trumps every other thing this county can think about for liability reasons. The cops, there's a lot of liability out there. The jail is where, you see it in the news all the time. And you do a hell of a job keeping that jail clean and all that stuff, but a little more supervision, somebody who's got a little bite to take care of an issue before it starts happening. I'm glad you talked about the team aspect of it, because I never worked one shift of my career at Ingham County that there wasn't at least one supervisor, no matter where you worked. There was always one on somewhere. And those people, if you've got the right people in those positions, they're going to really develop those teams. And then you get, that's what makes the job fun and makes it like people that when you get that team, it's no different than playing on a football team or a basketball team, or you come together. When you get that cohesion of a team, You'll have people that will have senior go to days, won't go to days because they don't want to leave their team. I mean, that's the kind of thing that happens in this. And when you got a well-oiled machine running, you got deputies that won't let the sergeant fail because that's their team captain. They will not let that happen. They take such pride in it. It's amazing.
What I compare it to is a sports team.
Yeah,
There's not a head coach or a manager or a coach.
Yep.
They don't go.
It don't work.
Players can still go out there and play.
Yep.
But they're not.
Might even have
nearly as
players,
efficient.
but they're not gonna win usually because they don't.
Nearly as efficient.
One little thing I'll add to it, and I know we'll move on here. We've kind of restructured what I do daily, I'm more administrative. Prior to me, and it's no fault of anybody, the administrator was kind of doing what line officers should be doing, or line supervisors, like classification, updating paperwork. That is what line officers do. That's what sergeants do, not the jail administrator. And so I'm more focused on the reducing risk, reducing liability, safety and security of the officers and the inmates. So it's really what my true focus is, so.
I so move that we approve the Gratiot County Sheriff's Office to promote 2 additional sergeants for a total of 4 correction sergeants, starting at I'd love you to have the pinning ceremonies while it's sunny in summer and let them start wearing their stripes, but they start getting paid on October 1. I'd love to see that happen.
We can look at that.
Just get them going and just tell them you can't get paid until October 1st. That's when
That could be a union issue though.
Yeah.
everybody else on that list, I guarantee promotes some people. And it ain't nobody gonna complain that got the stripes.
Right. So, but yes, if we can at least.
June and didn't start till December, so.
Or Chris and I can work it into the budget, that extra $5,600 a year or whatever it is, so.
Okay, do we hear a second on this?
Second.
Okay, this motion was made by Commissioner Shopsy and second by Commissioner Gay. Do we need a roll call on this?
We can do a little.
Do you have staff in mind that you're gonna make sergeants?
So we did the testing and yeah, we have 2 that were of the ones that interviewed that were above the others. So if they accept and test as well, yep, tested and interviewed well.
This is just to be clear, this is a reclassification.
Correct.
2 positions. It's not creating 2.
Correct.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes.
Commissioner Sapsy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Appreciate
great
it.
job. Thanks for the presentation. That's Gus.
I have a question. Do you guys ever have fights in the jail?
Oh.
See,
Yeah, we do, and but be grateful. You're not as spoke what other counties have to deal with, but we do.
It happens.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to drain prepayment request.
It was request of this board that anytime we had drain prepayments, then I would bring them to you for a final decision. These are very small drains, 289 and 510 for a combined amount of $3,958.46. With this small amount, and we have over $100,000 budgeted to continue to pay these. It would be my recommendation that we just prepay these 2 so we don't have to add them to, or take out loans for these small ones.
Okay, Commissioner. Okay, a motion was made by Commissioner Bailey and second by Commissioner Shopsy. And all those in favor say aye. Anyone that will say nay. Motion passed. Okay, now we will go on to MERS annual report.
This is for our pension fund. The actuarial report is performed by a team at MERS as of a date 12/31. So this would have been 12/31/23 when this was done. So I've compared in this just short synopsis of a memo in front of the actual pension plan. Some important aspects, just comparing one year to another. Last year we were 91% funded. This year we're 90% funded. I think I got the participants backwards. It should be 134 in 2023 and 136 in 2022. Which means that we lost two of our participants as of that date,
You lost to what?
participants.
Both passed away.
Our assets, the actuarial value of our assets actually went up. The liability slightly went up. Overall, from year to year, it's looking pretty much exactly the same. The reason that our percent funded went down is gonna be because of that smoothing factor. I don't know how many times, George, I know you've heard Marnie talk about the smoothing factor
Yeah,
half dozen times. For the rest of you, I will be bringing in our MERS representative to go through this and explain it to you in detail, to let you ask questions. So that you know that the information that I give to you is accurate, because this is one of the most important things that you need to track financially. Because if this pension fund gets out of hand, we lose a lot of control over county finances. Overall, I would give our pension fund a grade of a B plus. I really thought that we would have come in at a higher funded percentage, but last year we should have come in at a lower funding percentage, and it's that.
that's the smoothing factor.
So we're in better shape than what they're telling us, but because they want to be able to use some of those percentages in case things go sideways.
I want them to tell me what figures they use and how they use it, because the stock market's gone up quite a bit this year.
Yeah, like it shows, you know,
I bet today.
But your inflation is what drives it down. You got two factors, inflation going one way, and you got the stock market going the other way.
Yeah.
and I know that since we have, I guess, unofficially exited the COVID session, expected rates of life have increased too. Because it did dip there for a little while, a year or two. And that all plays into it. But I will get Marnie here, as soon as she can, and she can go through that. In the meantime, are there any questions that you have? These are the stats that'll be, that the unions will be interested in, that, will be in our financial statements reported to the state. You know, I work with these a lot throughout the year and only present them to you once, so. I'm not looking for a motion. I mean, you're welcome to accept the report if you still need.
Move that we accept the report on the mayor's retirement and support.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Bailey and seconded by Commissioner Gay. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Okay, the solar ordinance update.
Okay, so I think it was about 6 to 8 weeks ago. We were talking quite a bit about the solar ordinance. We had visitors that would come in and talk to us. We had the solar farms that were going in, both North Star, Washington and Pine River at that time. You know, it's mentioned that, you know, maybe we should look at our solar ordinance and make sure that we do have this thing tightened up for things that we need now and for things that might come in the future. So I did contact Spicer about updating our solar ordinance. Spicer was involved in writing both Washington and Pine River Township's ordinance before these farms went in. So they were the perfect company to approach to work with ours too, because it would be nice to have ours look like our neighbors. A couple of other things that I wanted to make sure that they discussed, and looking for in my memo right now, was to take into account expected private expansion. We're running into a lot of farms that are adding solar to their operations to help power their farms, and it would be good for our community development to have a good, strong ordinance to help them, guide them on that. And there's been talk, whispers of was underground battery storage, that this would be an ideal place because of all of the renewable energy lines and devices that we have here. So I wanted to make sure that this ordinance also included that. This last week, after having initial conversations with them, they gave me a contract that they thought would top out at $10,000. They would obviously try to keep it less than that. The expected cost would fall between $7,200 and $10,000. This is not something that myself and Spencer Spicers would do. We would definitely include community development. We would include the planning commission, and any other stakeholders that we feel would benefit in helping up this. But there's also additional motivation to do this at this time, and that is because it is expected that once the elections have been completed, that the state of Michigan is going to look to pass the local,
The state takes over.
local control bill, essentially, when it comes to renewable
Yeah.
resources. And so the wording in that bill is expected to say that if you don't have an ordinance that is up to par, you will have to adopt the state of Michigan. So
Is the ordinance, the purpose is to limit the solar?
well, it's not to limit it, it is to set the standards in how a solar farm and where a solar farm could be built. Does that end up limiting it? Sometimes. Does it end up encouraging it? Sometimes. It's just, you have to have the right fit for where that farm can be. So an ordinance, the most common thing you'll see in an ordinance is like setbacks, or what type of fencing it needs, or
How close to the road or how far back?
How much noise you can have and all that.
And
how tall they can be. Can they be visible from a certain place? If there's a home, does it have to be a certain distance from a home versus a road?
And wind farms are much different than a farmer wanting to supplement the electricity in his cow barn. They're completely different. One, he's using the energy that he needs to sustain his farm. He's not selling it to anybody. He's using it.
And in theory, we would be a little more generous in an ordinance with somebody who is creating their own power to run their own company.
I mean, for the most part, a farmer's only gonna take a couple of acres at the most. It's not like you're taking 600 acres.
Our current ordinance, we adopted, or we took it from Isabella County and adopted it as our own. And it could use some work. It could. I did spend some time reviewing it, and so did Spicer. So this is what I found. I think it would be beneficial for us to do that if the board pleases.
Isn't it like a solar farm between the farmer and the solar panel people?
There's a lease between those two parties, yes.
The farmer certainly is reimbursed for.
Yeah.
The farmer receives a per acre lease, but at the same time, when a solar farm goes in, it's similar to a turbine where there's personal property value there that is then taxed by the township, the county, and
every other,
state probably too, right?
and every other millage entity we got.
So there is value to the local municipalities also.
And when you do 600 acres, you want to make sure that the neighbors are heard and where you can make concessions, you make it.
Protected essentially, yes.
You protect the individual property owners. It's called individual rights.
There is a lot of arable land, because you said that we have more land under cultivation than we did before all this.
Yes.
Every year we keep.
Yes, every year for the last, I can't tell you how many years, we've always gained, in Gratiot County, we've gained tillable land. So even with,
Caveat is most of that's coming out of a government program. Very little of it's cleared and woods that's cleared to be farmed. It's actually in a government program where a farmer is being paid to let it sit idle. That's how when Gratiot County comes up with 9,000 acres, we didn't come up with 9 grand or 9,000 acres out of the clear blue sky. It's because they were in a CIRP, a CREP program, something of that nature.
Land bank.
Yeah, something with the federal land bank, and it came out of that. That's how we get that. So.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we would enter into a contract with Spicer up to $10,000 for the solar ordinance upgrade.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Or
Okay, motion by Commissioner Bailey and supported by Commissioner Sopsey. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion has passed.
Thank you. Okay, the sheriff's budget that was pulled off the agenda, I apologize for that. The airport has really taken up a lot of my time over the last couple of days to make sure that we got that contract done so that we could get the grant in. So that's why that is off.
Okay, we'll put it on for next month.
Yep, we will. My plan is to get it done this week and get it to the sheriff, so he has a couple of days to review it, and then we can meet before it needs to go on the agenda.
Okay, K is consideration of unfinished business. Is there any?
not having any, I would make a motion that we would suspend the regular board meeting and go into our finance meeting.
Okay,
Work.
motion by Commissioner Bailey and second by Commissioner Sopsey. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion has passed.
Can we take a potty break?
Yes, let's take a 5-minute break.
MERS number with that smoothing effect is, it's, to me,
It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's voodoo. It really is.
I agree.
Nobody's,
Because it's-
and they have never been able to convince me it's not.
You look at.
They try.
Well, the stock market's doing this year and the assets that MERS Corporation has, the assets that we have with them. It makes no sense that our percentage isn't higher. It went down 1%. It makes no sense.
Quite frankly, the way the interest rates are now, we should pull all of our money out of that and just put it in CDs because we'd make a heck of a lot more money than we're doing now. I'm gonna ask that lady, why didn't you do that?
Trust me, probably corporate MERS is doing something like that.
Steve, do you have the printed documents in front of you all?
Yeah, yep, for the finance.
No, for the regular meeting, do you have that too? So anyway, I could snag that Spicer. Oh.
I need you.
Oh, sure, yeah, it should be in there.
Evo.
What are you looking for?
I was hoping to have this. Oh, you got her signing here.
I do.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're good.
My cup.
Just got my piles here. Trees that Angie kills when she creates.
Singer.
There's a solution to that.
Got it in front of me, right here. I just like notes, like,
After we do the finance meeting, we'll go into closed session.
I know when I get the next minutes, if I made a motion, I just double check the minutes.
No, we're not-
Make sure I make.
We had to go to this before we can go to 6.
Okay, we all set to go?
Yep.
All right. Chris, go ahead.
After the approval of the latest training payments that were just under 4,000, the total for the fiscal year is at $44,900. So we're under a third of that budget that we had for that. Our hard work and paying those off is actually gonna show up in the budget here coming up because you're gonna see that our annual payment for those loans is really gonna drop this year.
Good.
ARP funds, we still have all of our funds earmarked. expenses in June that left the building. We closed out the Hero Center project. They made their last draw. A disbursement to Wheeler Township, and we had a stray COA computer purchase that was made on each year map. Puts the laptops that he buys underneath the ARP funds. MERS OPEB balance as of 7/11, we are looking at 2.45 million. That is up 6.3% in the calendar year versus the S&P up 17.7%. That is not smoothing, that is actual numbers. Without any questions, direct your attention to the cash balances for the year.
This is what I like to look at.
The general fund, we're sitting at just under 5.3 million, which is almost $200,000 above last year. But we have also, just remind you that we have done our disbursements to the non-general funds from the general fund already this year. So if you're comparing year to year, which I like to do, we're actually further ahead than it shows. COVID recovery, we're just under 1.3 million. Delinquent tax, just under 6 million. Once again, very healthy balance in there, mostly due to very large investment income.
Okay, next we got a check register.
Yep, if you have any questions on particular check, give you a few moments.
Isabella Bank, $333,173.
So what you're gonna see in the month of June is that the drain commissioner makes all of his bond payments. So you're gonna see several large payments going out to banks. And in one particular instance, we see it going to an individual who finances several drain commission projects over several counties. But she is properly vetted.
Years.
I remember the first time that I saw Joanne Lee's name and
Yeah.
a couple $100,000 going to her. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Kind of a weird thing, but it's legal and it works.
She's
The
licensed.
drain commissioner, she's one of the drain commissioners,
A lot of money for Blue Cross Blue Shield, isn't it? Wow,
but she makes good money.
85,000 Blue Cross Blue.
That's our monthly payment to them.
Wow, that's a terrible price. We probably could buy our own hospital and. Just kidding on that.
Chris, I was gonna say, there was a comment that popped up at some point, and as you as the controller be able to see that popped up on the bottom of the screen.
I have to, that's the controller back there. I'm just sharing as a participant.
I think it was from the name at the bottom, so you may have a public comment at the end.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it before we.
Hey, what is
Yeah,
this
closed
right
session.
here? What are these two things right here?
Oh, yeah.
This,
Quill,
and this right here, what is that? This,
Quench USA.
that's water?
Water stations and various offices.
Oh, okay.
So our filter system.
I bet it's good water. It sounds like a good name.
Quench.
Matter of fact, Shannon, is I brought some in here with me. I have the machine out there. It's very good.
Are any other questions before we move on? Got people that wanna, on a tight schedule here. Okay, then we'll go on to the June revenue and expenditure.
I'll give you a moment to review that. While you're doing that, I'm just gonna read Kevin's comment real quick.
Yeah.
The vast majority of the stock market gains are being carried by 7 high cap tech stocks or funds. A lot of the market is much more modest, and as goes on to say that MERS is probably restricted in how much they can invest in single.
I'm sure.
Well, it's pretty obvious we're not all in on Tesla.
Cost something told you should put your money in savings or you should
Bring this up.
put it in the stock market.
See where, is his name Elton? Musk is giving the president.
Elon Musk.
Elon, I can never think of how to say his name. Elon is giving the president 40 or the Trump $45 million every month now.
So super PAC.
Yeah, to,
That's just to guard the hen house. When they go to vote, that's for people, putting people in the, like lock boxes and everything else. $45 a month to hire people. 450, gee. $45 million a month, I'll say. Okay, if no other questions, we'll move on to the treasurers.
Well, investments, they remain stable.
Do
Or, we never know, it could change quickly.
I think we got about another 6 or 8.
I think we do too.
Going the other direction.
Yep, I do too. So right now we'll make hay while the sun shines. And
right.
Just keep watching
And
them
then-
so we can move them if we have to.
Yep, I am.
We need to go.
Don't worry.
look, it's good, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you. And then our revenues. Same report, what money comes in and where it all goes, where we filter it through when when we receipt it in. That's what this report is. And then the transfers for the month that we transfer in the bank out of our pooled account, our general fund, is the last report.
Foreclosures, how are we doing on those?
How are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of them right now.
We have
Or
11.
11.
And 2 from last year that are back up. They were vacant lots that are back up. Our auction is August 2nd. It's an online auction. So that's right around the corner. So
One of those people with vacant lots just not go. I'm not gonna pay the taxes, you take it.
mhm.
I mean, come on.
We've got
Don't take
3,
much of a brain. That one.
yep. And we've got 3 dwellings that are still occupied, which is more than we've ever had before. Last year we had 1 and that was the first one I'd ever had. So this year we have 3.
What is it you got? 3 what?
3 foreclosures that have still got people living in. Yeah, they,
Nowhere else to go.
yep. So,
It's homes.
mhm.
Oh, that's sad. Can I ask you what areas they're in?
What areas?
Yeah.
Yeah, one's out on Washington Road out by Leisure Lake Campground. One's on Wisner Road, and then there's one on just off Michigan Avenue between Alma and St. Louis.
I know people that are looking for homes.
Oh, those are the occupied homes. I'm sorry, I thought that's what you were.
No, but I was telling them they don't have the money for a huge down payment. I told them they should go and see what kind of credit they can get. And then they could also come in and bid on a house that,
Mhm,
which is really sad.
mhm.
Have to do it like that.
The very sad part is I go to extremes not to have this happen. But people, unfortunately, when they get in those situations, sometimes they just don't open their mail because they don't want to, they don't want to know. They're just,
What happens if you sell their home and they're still there?
that would be up to the new owner to go through the eviction process. I don't have the time to do that. Because it's a lengthy process.
It's really, really sad.
Yes, it is.
Seems like the foreclosures have been trending down.
They have, yep,
Seems like when I started here 8 years ago, we were in the 20s and 30s.
yes. Yeah, I go to extremes not to have this happen. I have, there's something that I have in January that if they come and just explain to me, if they haven't been on the plan before, on a payment plan before, and just not paid their payments, I do my best to put them on a payment plan so that this doesn't happen.
Do these people have jobs?
I don't know.
There's someplace that someone could see the list of these homes before the auction.
Yeah, just, I could give that to them, or there's an online, the title check online auction site has these,
What else do you have for auction besides the homes? Do you have
a lot of vacant lots,
really?
both field and in town. I have a commercial lot in Elm. I know, there's a lot. It's just,
I'm
It's a
not
different-
surprised because when I go through like Elma, Ithaca, well, I don't do Ithaca, St. Louis and Breckenridge, I do. I count how many empty
Mhm.
there are, and there is a lot.
yeah, I don't have any in the village of Breckenridge or any in the city of Ithaca this year, but
It's
we
good.
have some in the city of Alma and different places. But
So,
yeah, it's very sad. I wish that my number was 0,
is
honestly.
there any way that they can come in at the last minute and pay?
Now,
There isn't.
no.
They've had all those chances go.
Yeah, it's a judge's order now.
There's a lot of chances.
Yeah, we give them many, many chances. We start informing them the year before it actually happened, sending out letters, certified letters and having meetings. So, yeah. Once there's a certain point though, we can't go back. But they can always get online if something were to change for them and bid on it, they can do it that way.
Sometimes that happens. People go in and bid on them and then turn around and give it back to them, but
Yeah,
no, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the people and stuff. I just know of a couple incidents that did that. I don't know, it's a very sad time right now.
sure is. But like Chris said, it's getting better, but does anybody have any other questions?
Do you have any businesses? What happens with businesses?
Same thing.
Same thing. Do you have any of them?
No, not this year.
Just one commercial lot, though.
Yes, a commercial lot, but it's a vacant lot.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, that concludes our finance meeting, and I would make a motion that we go back to the regular meeting with the purpose of paying the bills.
Okay. Okay, we're now, do we have to do a motion on that? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bailey and second by Commissioner Sopsey. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passed, so we're now back into a full board. And now we need to make a motion to pay the bills.
We already paid the bills.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I did in my motion.
Oh, okay.
Out of the meeting and take
Purpose of paying the bills.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's why I do it, so we don't have to mess around.
Now, we do have room here. We wanted to ask, is there anybody that would like to do public comment at this point? Again, is there anybody here that would like to get up and speak?
T to anything.
Then we will move on to, we are now going into closed session for union contract.
I would make a motion that we would do that.
I have a second. Motion by Commissioner Bailey and second by Commissioner Shopsy to go into closed session. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passed. We're going into closed session.
We will not be making any decisions, so I'm going to go ahead and close down the Zoom meeting and we will not be coming back online.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds like a plan. See you guys. Good job. Yep.